Hey everyone, it's Megan from Bookish Delights. Today's video is going to be an April book haul, and whatever book I bring in, I'm going to unhaul a book. I first saw this over on Christine's channel, Pulling Bananas Books, and she does like a few different unhaul or book haul challenges. So I figured this would be a good idea to do since I am again running out of room on my shelf. So I figured if I'm bringing in books, it's time to take books off of my shelf. Now I am the type of person who loves going through shelves in my closet and just anything in general and just doing a mass spring cleaning, even though it doesn't always happen in spring. And this is not dealing with the KonMari method. Like, I'm not KonMariing anything here. It's just I love to purge items when I get too overwhelmed by everything that I own. I do this stuff like throughout the year. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So the first book is Poems of Life and Death. This is various authors, and I'm actually going to unhaul this because, spoiler alert for my April wrap up, I started it and DNF'd it. I've come to realize that I do not like poetry books that have various authors. I much prefer poetry books that are by the same author because you're able to connect with those poems more, I find. So this, I'm going to unhaul it as well, so I'm not going to pick a book for this one. The next book is another poetry book, and this is Empty Bottles Full of Stories by Robert M. Drake, and also has R.H. Sin on it. A couple of these books were from Book Outlet. So the book I'm going to unhaul is Born in Striped Pajamas by John Boyne, and yes, my dog is currently sitting behind me on the chair, so if you hear movement or you see like something like a dark shadow behind me, just keep in mind it is my dog. So I gave this book 1 star. I did tab it a whole bunch, like there are so many tabs on this, but that is because it is me complaining, like. And then also all the green tabs were how many times he used the word hopeless case referring to the sister. That annoyed me. So this is leaving my shelf. I have another poetry book. I've been really wanting to get into poetry, and I quite enjoy poetry, and I write poetry myself. So this is You Only Love Me When I'm Suffering. John Lupin, I think his Instagram is The Poetry Bandit, _Poetry Bandit. So I've heard his name floating around, so I figured I would give him a try. The book I'm going to be unhauling is This Is the Life by Alex Shearer. I bought this last month, I want to say, and I've read it during March. It's an okay book. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I'm not going to reread it. So it's going goodbye. And then I have yet another poetry book. This is the last poetry book. This is, actually I think this one is a novel, but told in like prose. This is Hidden by Helen Frost. The cover is stunning. I'm not quite sure what this is about. I think I read somewhere it's like there's summer camp involved. And then the book I'm unhauling for that one is Winger by Andrew Smith. I quite like that there's like cartoons mixed in with this and comics mixed in with this book, but I didn't really enjoy the book until the very end, and that's not enough for me to keep the book. If I decide to read Standoff, I think is the next book, then I'll probably get it in my library. I'll probably find it on Scribd or something like that. Again, it was another book that was okay to me. Didn't love it, didn't hate it, didn't like it enough to keep it on my shelf. And then the next book is 3 Truths and a Lie. Cover is stunning. This is by Brent Hardinger. There's a little blurb on the top and it says, "It's all fun and games until someone gets killed." And it's like a group of friends. They are at a cabin for like the weekend, and then they decide to play a game where it's 3 truths and 1 lie, and you get to figure out which one is lying. So it's a mystery and thriller. So the book I'm unhauling is actually 4 books into one, and I was only keeping it because it had a Mary Higgins Clark book in here, and that is I Heard That Song Before. This is 4 exciting mysteries. This is one of those Reader Digest books. I think it came from like the discard pile at a library. I was only keeping it for MHC because I love her work, and I don't plan on reading the other 3. The other 3 are No Time for Goodbye by Linwood Barclay, Daddy's Girl by Lisa Scatterline, and Thunder Bay by William Kent Kruger. I can probably find the MHC book elsewhere. And then I have Come Back to Me by Mila Gray. In my last book haul, I had hauled the second book because I didn't realize it was part of a series. I think it's a trilogy, I'm not quite sure. And the second one is Stay With Me, I think. The second one is Stay With Me, so this is the first one. And I honestly do not know what it's about. I don't know, it's contemporary, and I'm assuming it has something to do with the couple on the cover. The book I'm unhauling for Come Back to Me is Wanted, Perfect Partner by Debbie McCumber. I think I got to around chapter 4, so this is a DNF. I only picked it up because I didn't have a book with me when I was down to the hospital visiting I think it was my grandfather at the time. It was either my grandfather or my father who was in the hospital at the time. So I just wanted something to read while I was there, and it ended up being this book, and seems like it's okay, but like I don't really want it. The next 2 books I'm hauling, they're part of a series. I didn't realize that when I picked these up. So the first one is Live to Tell by Lisa Gardner, and the cover is stunning. It's shiny. I also found there's a little note, and it says, "And I hope you enjoy." And I just thought that was really neat. I love finding little other people's messages in books. I have no idea what it's about. I do know that it's like a mystery thriller, and I think they're investigating like a murder or suicide and just trying to find answers. I'm not sure if you're able to read it as a standalone, because I know that some series you can read as standalone. You don't need to read the whole series. So I will have to look more into that. And the book that I'm going to unhaul for that one is Fever by Lauren DeStefano. I've had this for quite a while. I bought it at a thrift store, and I've been really wanting to read it, but I haven't found the other books in the series. I think it's a trilogy. I'm not exactly sure. And I believe this is the second book, so I don't even have the first book. And if I ever do decide that I do want to read it, then I will find it through my library. I can find other ways to read it. And then the next book I have, this is again another book that's in the middle of a series, and I didn't realize it when I picked it up. So this is Devious by Lisa Jackson. The cover really got me on this one. This is again another mystery thriller, and the book I'm unhauling for that is The Last Lecture by Randy Posh. I've had this book for ages, and it's only like a little tiny book. I wanted to read it. Like, it was never high on my TBR list, And I don't think I'm ever going to pick it up because the last few books is actually a box set that I found on Book Outlet. And I've been wanting to start this series for so long. And I know I said that I'm not going to buy the full series before I start reading it. Like, I'm only going to buy the first book. But I couldn't pass this up because the box set was around like $120 Canadian full price. And then on Book Outlet, I think I found it for like less than $50. So I really could not pass it up. And that is the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. And this has Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, Winter, and Ferris. The only thing that I don't like, actually there's two things that I don't like about this. That the box set that it comes in, it's not that sturdy, very flimsy, and it's already falling apart. So you have to like hold it together. Like, you can't just like hold it by the sides because the bottom will come out. And also, the first book doesn't have the embossed symbol on the front, but all the other books do. Yeah, only the first book doesn't have this little, oh, is that gonna focus? Here we go. Yeah, the first book don't have that little embossing, and I don't know if like that's just the way it is, or they put the wrong edition in this box set. I really don't know. That's okay. That's just like a little thing that I'm like, that I don't like. I mean, they're still all hardbacks, so they all match, so that's okay. And then the books that I'm unhauling for that, yes, I said books plural because I figured because I'm hauling in a series, I should get rid of a series. And that is the entirety of my The Mortal Instruments series. This is 6 books in a series, and I've only been keeping them because the spines look so pretty on my shelf. I just couldn't get into it. It's a good, it's okay, it's alright. It's one of those that I feel like I would have liked it a whole lot more if I read the books as they were being published and not years later. And I feel like her writing gets better throughout the series because like I don't really care for the Mortal Instruments, but I quite enjoyed the first book in the Infernal Devices. So currently I am keeping the Infernal Devices. So we have City of Bones, and this is by Cassandra Clare. If you guys don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's most of you, to all of you know. This is City of Ashes, City of Glass, I think they're in order, City of Fallen Angels, and I am going to continue on reading this series, but I've been listening to the audiobooks on Scribe, so I don't need the physical copy because I am reading this one this month. Then we have City of Lost Souls. The covers, I mean, they're okay. They're not my favorite covers. And then we have City of Heavenly Fire. So that is everything for my book haul and unhaul. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.